Hello and welcome to this Desteni Movie Night. And today we're going to talk about the movie Limitless. And with me today I have two participants. We have Valentin from Slovenia. Hello,
Hi.
Valentin.
Hi.
And we have Jogan from Miami, Florida.
Hello.
Hello. And participants, you're watching this, you're welcome to participate using the question and answers function, and we'll answer your questions here live in this hangout. So before we start, I'm going to do a short synopsis on this Limitless. So it's about a guy, a author, a failure in life. He hasn't made very much of himself, though he has been able to get a book contract. So he's writing his own first book. Though he encounters some issues and problems and he's not really able to write his book, and instead he lies on his couch and he's eating pizza and he's, well, going out drinking before 12 in the noon. So he has some difficulties. But then one day he meets this person, an old friend, that gives him a small pill, a small drug. And he takes this drug, and this drug is some sort of miracle drug that makes him motivated, highly intelligent, and able to learn things immediately. And in taking this drug, he becomes disciplined. He writes his book in a couple of days, and he then goes into stock trading and makes millions and basically becomes a super success. So we're going to look at this movie from the perspective of ego and also what is real self-change, because we've discussed this before the hangout here, and we all see that this main character, he represents ego, particularly when he takes this drug and he goes into his change. So first, Jogan, I'd like to ask you, what is ego before we venture into how it's lived out in the movie?
Sure. Ego is when you place your desires first. And I mean, that would be the most simplest definition, I would say. When you put your desires first, and it's all about you.
And how about you, Valentin? What do you see in relation to ego?
Yeah, I would define ego as a perception of separation from the rest of the existence. So we perceive ourselves as individuals, and thus we do not consider the effects of our actions onto another.
Yeah, and I would say ego is also this, in particular, the male ego. You know, we have these very, how do you say, male desires. Like most of us, we desire to be successful, we desire to make lots of money, we desire to have the perfect woman, we desire to be often sexually promiscuous, because apparently that is very, cool for a man. So I mean, it's this entire idea we build up of ourselves that we're so awesome and better than everyone else. So Jogan, how is this then? What happens to this character when he takes this drug?
So, like you said, he becomes very intelligent. He develops kind of a super awareness, super perceptiveness, which I think is kind of funny because that relates to being here, right? If you're always here, you're more aware of what's here. So he has that, let's say, ability to be here and be very aware, and therefore very effective at whatever he's doing. And so, what's the first thing he does? If it was, what was the first thing he does, Victor, in the movie once he gets the drug?
Yeah, he has sex. He's chatting to a girl.
So yeah, that's the very first thing he does. Having this great, superpower, he's able to seduce or entice a girl into sex. instead of, I don't know, doing something more, you know, helpful or productive, considering his environment, what's around him. So yeah, that's a good example of ego.
Yeah. And also how it's presented in the movie, you know, like, oh, he got to have sex now. He's so successful and happy because he got this drug, and wow. So what do you see, Valentin, in terms of how his behavior changed?
Yeah, so specifically, this drug in the movie has been described as a substance that allows you to access 100% of your brain.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
the movie is quite similar to the recent movie Lucy,
Yeah,
however, with a different story.
yeah,
And when he takes this drug, he is able to access past information, the memories fully, and he expanded his observation. He became aware about more details in his surrounding.
yeah,
So these are all potentials that we as human beings can develop.
yeah.
However, as it is explained in this movie, using drug is not really the best way to do that.
No. I mean, we discussed before the hangout this point of self-will and discipline, because that is one of the characteristics he develops. And we talked about, I mean, is it possible to develop such skills by yourself? What do you say, Yogan? Do you have an experience with it? Or?
Yes. So I'm 24 years old. I live in Miami, Florida, and I went to public school here. And in my high school experience, I entered high school knowing well before that your high school records, your grades, would determine what kind of college you would go to. So at the very beginning of high school, I already had the intention, the goal to basically get straight A's, to get as many A's as possible in all my classes. So, I had this goal and I actually did it, took planning. I had to be very careful and, studied so that I can make sure I get an A in each class. And sometimes I would focus my attention on classes that I was doing worse and so that I could, increase my grades there. So it was something very, planned out and took my strategy, good strategizing to get that. And it took 4 years to finish that, but I did do it, and I was able to get into a really good college with a really good scholarship. Yeah.
And but if you look at the movie, like he's like this failure, like he's totally failed, and he has no self-discipline at all. And then like the only way out for him seems to be this drug. That's apparently the only way that you can develop self-discipline and motivation. I mean, so what I'm wondering here, Valentin, is there, sort of a solution for us that don't have access to this drug, yet would still like to be disciplined and motivated?
Yeah, of course. This drug apparently gave this main character a motivation to do certain things and to become aware. But motivation is usually based on the energy of emotions and feelings. And if we wait for these emotions, these energies to move us, then we are constantly in a state of waiting. And we need to change something in our lives to become more interesting, to get this energy rush, and then we get powered by this energy.
Yeah.
But this energy, any energy, the characteristics of emotional energies is that it lasts only certain limited amount of time, and then it dissipates. So then we need to constantly generate these events when we get this energy rush.
Yeah.
And also, after we get powered with this positive energy, then we fall down in the state of this negative energy, or the feeling of depression, of not wanting to do anything.
Yeah.
So if we want to become motivated in life for a longer time, we need to release ourselves from this addiction of energy motivating us, but to motivate ourselves based on the principle, based on the decision.
So, I mean, what you're saying here is it's quite groundbreaking, because the general and accepted mentality in the world is that, you know, in order to do something, you must be passionate about it. And I can take an example from my own life. For example, my parents, when I asked them, okay, you know, do you have any suggestions for what I should study, you know, what career I should pick, and so on, and they said, no, but the important thing is that you like it and that you're passionate about it, because then you'll have the motivation to actually do it. But so what you're saying, Valentin, is that, okay, you don't really need that energy to actually do it. Do you agree with this, Johan? Do you also see it that way?
Yes, there is like a little fine line there, where, you know, what your parents are saying, because I know that with my parents, if they get into like if people get into a career that they're not passionate about, that means in their mind they have some passion. Like for my dad, he always wanted to be an artist, and you know, he's working in another job that's not art, and so his passion's in art. So then he feels this, you know, because he feels this conflict or resistance because he's doing something he doesn't like to do. So there's definitely that problem that arises when you have a conflict between what you're doing and what your passion is, right? And if those two aren't aligned, then there's a conflict there. And so it's important to be able to have the decision and choice to make your passion something that's aligned with your life and what you're doing, and to even create steps and plans to make your passion happen.
Yeah, I mean, so we have that point of passion, and currently in this world, passion is something that apparently should just, you know, comes down from heaven, and it sort of lands in your solar plexus, and then you're passionate. But I mean, what we say at Desteni is that, okay, we can create passion and make a decision to be passionate about something. And is that something that you can recognize, Valentin?
Yeah, I learned within the audios that explain how the system of reincarnation worked, that we have been incarnated with a special program, like karma. We were pre-programmed with passion. So this drive that directs us in a certain direction in our lives, it is not something that we decided, that is a part of us as living beings. And it is self-centered. It is only about ourselves, what we want for ourselves, for our own experiences. And we do not consider other beings within our lives. So this is very limited point of view. So the title of the movie is very cool, Limitless. So Limitless also means to release yourself from this pre-programming,
Yeah.
and to understand how we are each one part of a large existence, and if we want to be taking care of ourselves within the system, we need to start directing ourselves into changing this system so that it would support each of individual equally.
Yeah.
Not like this, where we need to have certain passion in order to compete within this system, and only then we can get what we want, which is also based on money and also sex and these feelings of good energies.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. The title of the movie is Limitless, as you say, and it's fascinating because he starts out as an artist. Like apparently that is his life's call. Then he gets, you know, this drug, and suddenly he just goes into finances. And it's actually that part is quite cool because he has no particular inclination or liking towards finances or economics. It's like, oh, that's practical for me. I can make lots of money there. So I wanted to ask you, Valentin, because I know that in your life you have sort of been dipping your toe in many various venues. Like I know you've been a photographer, and then you have you know, gone into merchandising. So how's your relationship been with passion? And when you've decided to take on a new project, what has been the, you know, your starting point? Has it been, yes, this is practical, or this is something I feel like doing? What has been your like thinking process involved?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, initially I was born in a family company. My father started a business. It was initially different type of business, but then we moved to visual communications. And initially I craved to study in the school of design, graphic design. And when I was not accepted, I was very depressed. I then decided to go to different similar school, technical drawing, and then we changed our business to visual communications, and there I was able to express myself within this point of design, but not to the point that I wished to. So I then started my own business and really expressed myself in the point of graphic design, web design, and photography. And parallelly to this, I also experienced these relationships within my family, and then when I met my girlfriend, I wanted to have best life. I made everything possible for the relationships to work, but then I noticed that the mentality that she had was not something that I would be able to change in a way that our relationships would be smooth and cooperative. So when this relationship ended, I became very depressed, and I wanted to assure that I would be able to see this personality of some person, potential partner, in order to not be disappointed again. And then I also, after several years of my business, I become tired of this business of graphic design, of just sitting behind the computer and doing something. I wanted to not be anymore in the role of passive observer. The last stage of my business career was photographer. I then focused on photography, and I was just observer. I was passive observer, not being able to influence anything, to change anything. But I started to notice more and more how all the people had the same problems, and how we are all influenced by the system. And I wanted to do something to change this. And this is how my passion then turned from self-centered, egoistic passion to something that would support what is best for all.
So would you then say that nowadays when you consider projects, you don't look at it in the context of, will I be able to like this?
No, it is the other way around. I am seeking the projects that are not likable, that are hard, because they are a challenge for me. I want to be challenged. Okay. And to expand myself within this challenge. Because if you do just things that you like, then you stay the same. You stay small. Yeah. And by challenges, you expand yourself. Yeah.
That's very cool, Valentin, and definitely something that, yeah, definitely a cool principle to walk. So, Yogan, I know also that you've become involved in, certain business ventures that have probably been beyond your, how do you say, your initial ideas of what you would be doing in your life. So what kind of thought processes, what type of considerations did you use when you decided to go into that direction?
Yeah, so in general, in my life, it's always been a principle that's been guiding me. Like the reason why I wanted to go to college, well, it was initially a point of wanting to be surrounded by people who I thought I could connect with, because I felt like the people in my high school, I was in an environment where I really couldn't connect with them. So I thought college would be better because people there would be, I don't know, hardworking or committed, or those kind of people. The majority of people aren't that, that kind of person. So I thought I would find those kind of people there, and it wasn't really fit into my expectations, and also realized that I wasn't really as committed or as disciplined as I thought I was. Mainly because I wasn't really aware, or I would say it's because I didn't really have, let's say, a reason or a solid principle that would guide me. Because my original principle is more about me feeling accepted. And of course, working with Desteni, it's the common sense of a principle that will actually stand the test of time would be to actually take into consideration everyone. And within that, there's really no emptiness. There's no holes because you considered all all people. And within that, there's kind of a fullness there. And so within that principle, I mean, choices become easy because you just have to make the decisions that are based on sort of like the rules or based on what's already here. It's almost like a game. A game is a very limited structure, like chess, for example. There's only so many choices to make, and there's really only one best choice within each situation. You just have to find out what that is. And so that's sort of what my life is. It's more figuring out what my best choice is based on what I have available, and to make that decision, because I really have, one goal that I want. So I'm just working for that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yeah, but what I was looking at, what I was not sort of, the principle let me ask you this, Yogan. Okay, when you consider going, when you consider taking on a project,
Yeah.
is it what types of consideration are there? And here I'm looking at, you know, with Limitless, when he went into finances, that it was, you know, okay, it's practical. It wasn't that, oh my God, I need to like this and I need to feel so good about this. So is there, you know, is that same type of consideration when you make decision, that it's like that you look at practicality, or is it you look at a feeling, like what is the motivation that you use when you go forward?
I would say this is actually an interesting question because I was looking at this today with my writings, so I can't say 100% sure because I'm still investigating it. But throughout my life, you know, like in high school and what I was saying before, one thing that was sort of motivating was sort of this pain, you know, sort of like this painful. I don't know how to say it. I wouldn't say it's emotional, energetic. It might be, but what I'm saying is that, you know, right now I'm aware that there are people out there who are suffering right now, and sort of that awareness, there's sort of like this sort of pain motivation, where that's really motivating for me because I'm aware that, you know, they're out there right now, and there's so many different people and plants, animals, and environment and Earth that's in a point of suffering or pain, and so that I think is an effective motivation, which I'm looking into, which in the past it looks like it worked. So I'm actually, it's funny that you brought that up because that's what I'm looking at today, is that point of being aware of those people, and that's sort of a painful reminder in a way. That's pretty motivating for me. So yeah.
That's quite cool, because I would say that one of the points that motivates me is in a way a similar point, and it's you know, I see myself being dead, and in being dead, you know, I stand before my life, and then I sort of ask myself, okay, well, did I do everything I could possibly do in order to make a difference in this world and for myself as well? Because I realize, you know, that this world is in a dire state in many ways, and to lead a life of complacency, it wouldn't be something that I would like to face, you know, when I'm dead, when I look back and I get the question, okay, but what did you do? So I would like to jump into another point in the movie, and it's about this point of the exuberant lifestyle of the main character. And it's interesting, you know, when he takes the drug, when he becomes intelligent and blah, he sort of jumps into an entire social class, you know, with money and a very fast-paced lifestyle. And this is sort of described and presented in the movie, I would say, as some form of happiness or, you know, fulfillment, some like a goal we should strive for. So Valentin, I'd like to ask you whether the lifestyle that is presented in the movie, whether that is something worthwhile to live for.
Well, if the motivation is just to have a lot of money and a lot of good things, it is not something that would make you happy in the long term. But also the businessmen who actually do earn a lot of money, their main motivation has never been money. They wanted to contribute to the world in some way. And they created a business, some sort of service or the product that would improve people's lives. and consequently the money came. But if you just manipulate money like stock exchange, like this, um, uh, yeah, not contributing in any way to the improvement of the society, one can get a lot of money, but it is egoistically motivated. Then you just want to have a lot of money and things to impress others,
Yeah.
to again enjoy in your emotions, in sex.
Yeah.
And then after expressing yourself in these areas, you get to the point where you want even more powerful emotions, um, feelings, and initially, and then consequently, there is a stage when you start to destroying yourself, your physical body, with indulgence in drugs and alcohol and sex. So it is best to invest your time in creating some meaningful business where you will be assisting society, and then some money will come, and then it is best to stay moderate, to direct yourself so that the amount of money you get will not change you as a person, as a personality, so that you are innerly, energetically stable all the time, regardless if you have credit or a couple of millions on your bank account.
Yeah, that's a cool point. And I mean, it's something we're walking in the Desteni I process. This point of, okay, I'm in this world, but not of this world. So regardless of what I face, regardless of the money in my bank account, I still remain stable. And this is obviously a process that must be walked in order to get to such a point. But there is such a point existent that one is able to stand within. So in the movie, and now we move to the end here, where you know, the guy, the main character, who begins to mass produce this particular drug, and he creates his own facilities to be able to have a constant access to it. And what is interesting is that, like, his plan is sort of to go for presidency and to apparently make a difference. But you know what is fascinating is that he never actually shares this drug that has such an amazing impact in his life with anyone else. So, Yogan, I mean, why would you say that is? And how can we sort of compare that to how we exist, you know, in our lives?
I mean, most personally, the way that I relate to that is keeping secrets, sort of keeping even not just special knowledge, but even just like certain secrets you have too. That's really what he was doing, is more keeping a secret, uh, you know? So it's like the hidden part, like wanting to keep things hidden because you're afraid that if things get revealed, there will be some sort of consequence that you imagine is going to happen. Or maybe it is something that, you know, will lead to a consequence, but, you know, you're afraid to face it, but, you know, eventually those kind of things are going to come out anyway. So, yeah, it's that point that we're participating in, keeping secrets and keeping things hidden, which really has based on with a point of fear, and it's kind of silly
Yeah,
because
I
it
mean,
only delays the inevitable. Yeah, or or you're gonna end up dying with all your secrets, and then what, So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. And I can take an example from my education and where I study here in Sweden. It's quite a competitive education. Those that are involved in it, they are, many of them are like serious. They want to have a career, they want to get the best job, and so what happens when we are to write our papers is that books in the library actually get stolen, and that it's not because they that the people can have access to them. It's rather a point of making sure that that significant point of information that is like will create that top score in the exam, that it disappears conveniently, so that only one person will have that premium score. And I mean, that's what I see in this movie as well, that it's a point of self-interest, that he wants to apparently save the world, but he has this godlike complex that he wants to be the president. He wants to sort of win and have the attention and be the one that makes the difference. So what would you say about this point, Valentin?
Yeah, firstly, I don't know how this would be practically feasible to, like he said that he had about 5 labs that produced and developed this drug. How could he practically prevent for the workers within that lab, after seeing the effects on him, for not themselves taking also this drug?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my first question about how real outcome could develop. And then, if he took this drug and turned from this irresponsible being to so responsible being who wanted to change the world, why did he then not offer the same drug to the other beings to also turn into this people, to turn into character who wants to assist others?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is a point of just he wanted to be president and not willing to give access to this drug to anybody else. It's a point that was already attested by the creators of this world, by Anu, that we can learn from the interviews within the Desteni materials.
Yeah, and equal. Just adding there.
Yeah, where there was a being who wanted to be God and wanted to manage all the existence. However, the existence is very complex because everything is eventually becomes aware of itself. And we are also now getting to the very interesting phase of technology, computer technology and robotics, where it is also shown in a lot of movies what terrible consequences can develop from this. That eventually robots can become aware, computers or systems can become aware, and they can then take directive principle. So if we allow the separation within the awareness that we are all one existence, that we share, and that we need to behave responsible, then eventually the awareness of individual will develop into a stage where this self-centered, egoistic, powerful entity will start to harm others. So the main point to educate everyone is to become aware how we all share this existence together, how we influence each other, and that we need to become more to be more aware about how we can improve our lives, to assist each other instead of just competing and to taking resources for ourselves, but to start to share resources.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I mean, a common sense solution in his case would have been to give the drug to everyone. And it's something we can apply in our own lives in simple ways, such as sharing what we've walked through, our particular insights in regards to, for example, how do you motivate yourself? How do you live self-discipline? So that we don't keep that stuff to ourselves, but when an opportunity opens up, that we do share our skill and expertises in order to, as such, make the world a more enhanced and effective place. Yeah. So our time's up for tonight. Thank you very much for participating here tonight. It's been a pleasure. The next Friday, Talamon is going to come on here and be the host, and it's still to be a surprise what kind of movie is going to walk through, but it will be a movie because it's Desteni Movie Night on Fridays. And also, don't forget to subscribe, and also visit the Desteni webpage and the eQuaf store, where you can download all these amazing interviews and find out about the secrets of the afterlife and things like that, Anu and gods and such. Okay, so bye, Valentin and Yogan. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
And bye, participants. Bye, or viewers. Bye.